the ebbs and the flows, the evolutions and dissolvings of these moving portraits just swarming with life behind them, both natural and man-made, was mesmerizing. I've never seen anything like it, and I proceeded to show many a friend. I felt the intersectionality of both human and nature comprised all of what we are. When you see an image of somebody, it's not just the human, but all of their history, all of what has permeated them, all of what they take in terms of culture. And yeah, I just thought it comprised all of those underlying connections intertwining beneath the surface. There's something kind of disturbing about it, and psychedelic in its nature, with sometimes a menacing soundscape, but it also had this deep peaceful beauty, and I think that's important to have that nuance. I also thought it was interesting how mostly we saw female portraits, and a lot of the times they were unrealistic expectations of beauty. The eyes were too big, the lips were larger than they would have been. It almost seemed like somebody was manipulating some of the features along with it, and I kind of got this commentary on the male gaze, and that underlying rawness was a kind of a cool cut through the beauty aspect.
So, Natural Machine was just such an interesting short in a sense where there wasn't any dialogue happening. It wasn't anything to take in story wise, but it was more very experimental, and the different works of animation and being able to transition through so much, and while still matching it to music. So yeah, it was just really fascinating to see. And something that I did like was that they did center on eyes a lot, and so it would be a lot of um, the eyes just kind of being still on the center of the screen, and then everything else kind of transitioning around it and revolving around it. So it became this kind of like ebb and flow of movement through each image that was happening. So um, it was one of those pieces where there wasn't anything to really have to focus in on in terms of dialogue, but in a sense, it was you just end up focusing on the visuals of it. And what it does so well is that there is a constant movement in visuals. It never stands still for like a second. So there's constantly something to engage you in and to keep you entranced. So great job.
I thought this was really beautiful. I really loved how they animated this and how everything was so fluid. Um, and how things just kind of melted and faded from one kind of image to the next to the next to the next, and how with the different kind of overlaps and the different like ways you were seeing what was on the screen affected the different like kind of base image or the different layers, I guess. And it actually changed from one to the next as you were fading through, and highlighted different things. Like as I was watching it and the image morphed and morphed, I was picking up different things with how it was fading from one to the next, and how it was kind of, like I said, like melting from one to the next in this very like fluid way. I thought it was really beautiful.
Natural Machine is like art in real time, is the way that I would put it. The images and how they bleed into one another, it's like being in a museum, and you want to think to yourself, how am I reacting to this piece? What emotions are these pieces of art eliciting inside me? And it's that exact same feeling watching this. You just want to not go too into it, be too cerebral about it, and more act on instinct. The music does help carry you as well. Kind of gives an unsettling feeling, to be honest, but maybe that's for the best. Maybe that's what the art should elicit, and what the greatest art does, which is an unsettling feeling. It disturbs the piece. And I think that that's achieved here. It's really something beautiful and unique and strange.
I thought this one was a trip, to say the least. Just such an interesting sort of display of effects. Had me wondering if it was, all done manually or procedural or even machine generated, because it definitely has this natural yet artificially affected sort of vibe to it. Really, really interesting. It felt like the kind of piece that would be on loop in the background at a gallery or something. That level of high art, really sophisticated and even kind of eerie.
Yeah, I love this one. I think that this was super unique, and just I loved, it's like horrifying, and it makes you think of like death and decay and like societal like expectations and what it is to like be beautiful and distorted, and yeah, like the overlay and the music and all that sort of stuff. I think it was super powerful, and it doesn't get old. It's like I loved how it's like ever changing. I feel like you could watch this 100 times and see something new every single time. And yeah, I really dug it. I think it's a very evocative short. Like it just really, it makes you feel something. You're going to, yeah.
Yeah, this movie was super cool. I've really never seen anything like it. It didn't even, like, it kind of felt like I was just like at a really like creepy museum, but like in a good way. Like it was super cool and unique, and yeah, it was like beautiful at moments and scary at moments, which you always want to feel the whole range of emotions in a film. So it's just really cool, and obviously visually it's beautiful, but I thought the sound design and the music was really, really cool and really added to it. And yeah, I thought it was super cool, and just like I just love seeing unique stuff that people come up with, and it inspires me. So good job.
I don't even know how to describe this film. It's super cool. First of all, I'm completely floored by this idea, and no matter when you watch it, I actually watched it twice. I watched it a couple of mornings ago, and then I watched it again right now because I was like, I want to remind myself of what that is. And I had two very different experiences depending on how you feel that day. This movie is really fascinating in that way, that like you can have different experiences just based on people's faces and morphing into other people's faces, and this animation's really amazing. It's a beautiful piece, and it's just really thought-provoking internally for the viewer. I really found it fascinating. So I can't thank you enough for making it. It's interesting, and I'm really glad I got a chance to watch it. Congratulations. It's really fantastic.